Hey there, Raquel Dancho here, Member of Parliament for Kildonan and St. Paul and Shadow Minister for Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, coming to you today from Winnipeg for my weekly roundup. So it's been a busy week back in the constituency. The House is not sitting right now. MPs are largely back in their ridings. And we've accomplished a lot. I just wrapped up my back to school supplies initiative where I asked from many of you if you had extra unused school supplies you can bring by so we can collect it and deliver it to the River East Transcona School Division Board and the Seven Oaks School Division Board so that they can distribute it to children in need in the Kildonan and St. Paul community. And we were overwhelmed with the generosity from many in our community, and it was just really, really heartwarming to see. So scroll up my social media feed and you will see the fruits of our labor on that. It was really heartwarming to see. So thank you all who participated in that. This week as well, it was the first Immigration Committee meeting. So the Immigration Committee has not met since early summer, and obviously because of the border closures, visa office closures and embassy closures, the whole entire immigration system has really just been turned upside down, and it hasn't met since the summer, which kind of shows you part of the problem. And it was my first Immigration Committee meeting. I am, as you know, the Shadow Minister for Immigration, and when you are the official opposition party in that critic role, your role is also to lead the opposition on the committee. So this is my first opportunity in that, and as is protocol, I was elected the vice chair of that committee. So very exciting in that regard, a little bit of a positive moment. But the problems sort of started right after that, and you can watch the full Immigration Committee on my Facebook page. But before I get into those details, let me just tell you a little bit about the committee history. So this is the House Procedure book. It is unbelievable. The rules and maneuvering and the history, it's an incredible book. And in there, I learned that really committees have been around in some form in the British parliamentary system since the 14th century, and really had the purpose to consider all bills, sort of all legislation, grievances, petitions, things like that, to do studies on public policy. So committees have been really at the forefront of digging into issues at a greater level than is able to in the House of Commons. So they're really, really critical. And there's a number of sort of permanent committees. They're called standing committees. And the Citizenship and Immigration Committee is one of those. So quite a historical committee in Canada, and very blessed. I feel very blessed and honored to be a part of it. So, but that's where the niceness ends. So you may have heard and seen on my fellow colleagues in the Conservative Party on their social media feeds, we have been sort of filibustered. The Liberals have been filibustering every opportunity we have to try to put forward any robust study in the public interest. They have put a stop to it by procedural wrangling, even though opposition parties have the majority on committees. So basically it means Liberals can just talk down the clock. They can just amend something to death that the clock runs out and the meeting adjourns. It's very, very, very frustrating. So when I was preparing for the committee, I thought, well, what is the mandate of the committee? What is the mandate of the Immigration Department? What are we supposed to be doing here? Let's get back to the basics. So just really quickly for you, the Immigration Department, part of their mission is to develop and implement policies that facilitate the arrival of people, that maintain Canada's humanitarian tradition by protecting refugees and people in need of protection. Mandate to build a stronger Canada, a country that continues to support our humanitarian tradition and draws the best from the world to help build a nation that is economically and socially and culturally prosperous. Sounds pretty great. Now, the mandate of the committee, very similar. It has the mandate to do analysis of the relative success of the Department of Immigration as measured by the results obtained as compared with its stated objective, which I just talked about, and considers other matters related to the mandate, which I just talked about, and management, organization, or operations of the Department of Immigration. Pretty straightforward. Basically tells us we got to make sure everything is functioning appropriately and is meeting the objectives of creating the most prosperous country by having the world's best and brightest come in, but also humanitarian, maintaining Canada's reputation as a humanitarian sort of safe haven for those that are fleeing persecution. So really honorable objectives in immigration. However, like I said, with the border closures, everything has been turned on its head. So I worked very hard on a robust motion. Given that I've received thousands of emails and tweets and Facebook posts and calls, I'm learning a lot about the major problems in the Immigration Department. Now remember, it's a $4 billion department that really controls who comes into this country and who doesn't. So has a lot of power, and because Parliament has been properly sitting, hasn't been a lot of oversight on that power. So the job of the committee is to make sure that the Immigration Department is doing its job. So I put forward quite a robust study, and I worked with the Bloc and the NDP on this as well to ensure that what their constituents want and their priorities were also included, because this is supposed to be a team effort. So we worked hard together on that and put forward a motion that also included Liberal priorities. So really, this was a robust motion that looked at the economic impact of the decrease of immigration in Canada. Family reunification, of course, has been huge. I've been doing a lot of work on that. Temporary resident visa processing times, very much delayed. Temporary foreign workers, we depend on those in agriculture, fisheries, the meat industry. Countless industries depend on that. You would have heard in summer, a lot of issues with the temporary foreign worker program. And also the technological capabilities of the Immigration Department employees working from home, which is basically all of them. Do they have what they need? Is that why the backlogs are so long? Are they actually able to do their work? Are all the proper security processes being followed despite these backlogs? That's important too for the security of Canada. So I put this motion forward, and unfortunately the Liberals had made this plan that they would put a motion forward first. They got in there first, wanted to put forward their motion, and it was this big. Just a very few lines. Didn't really acknowledge the pandemic as fully as this did, and was really an opportunity written in a way that wanted to allow the government to highlight all the good work they're doing. For my opinion, the minister is doing a good job of that already. That's the Liberals are doing that. They're talking about all the great things they're doing. Our job at opposition and the job of the committee is to actually dig down and see what's really going on. And so that's why we formulated this very ambitious study that would have went on for several months, and we would have really gotten to the bottom of a lot of things and heard from experts about what's really going on. However, they amended it to death. They talked it down, and I repeatedly said, the study is important. We got to get on top of this. It's been months since we've done anything in this department, and yet it's in shambles. Let's go. And you want to know what they said? They said, there's no rush. What's the rush? Why so much study? Why do you want to do such a big study? Oh, you want to study everything. Well, of course I do. That's the job of the opposition, to ensure you're doing your job. We have a duty to Canadians and their stranded family abroad to take this seriously and study the long-term impacts of this and the short-term impacts of this. Is the department doing as well as they're saying? That's our duty to Canadians. No rush? Have they talked to any of these people that have been stranded for months from their family with no answer? Because it seems really insulting to say that, frankly, and really insensitive. And to me, it really seemed like that comment, it's no rush, really seems to be symptomatic of a Liberal opinion on this pandemic. They were very quick to rush out billions of dollars for people at the beginning. But over the summer, when we had fake Parliament and then 6 weeks of prorogation where everything was shut down, nothing really got accomplished. Nothing got accomplished. That's the problem when Parliament isn't sitting appropriately. No rush. There's no check on that kind of comment. Well, I am the check on that kind of comment, and I will be putting significant pressure on the Liberal government to do their duty and study these issues that are impacting Canadian lives, rest assured. So more to come on that. I did want to also talk about one issue I brought up in question period. You might have seen it last week. It was concerning this sort of anti-racism action program that the Liberals announced over a year ago that promised funding to local Black community groups and others. And a number of the community groups in Winnipeg that are doing phenomenal work for the Black community applied. Applying for these things takes hours and hours and hours and takes away from other things that they would be doing, but it's really great to get community funding. There's all types of community funding for various reasons. This was new funding. And they didn't hear back from this. The window closed sort of last year, about 10 months ago, and so they haven't heard anything from it. So they got to have Liberals got to have this big photo op. We're going to do all these things for minority communities. The Black community is really going to benefit from this. And then crickets for months. And I just felt it was despicable. You can't lead people on like that or use them just to get the photo op. It's not appropriate or respectable. So I called them out on it, and the Free Press was interested. You would have seen that article last week if you're subscribing to my emails. And lo and behold, this week that funding has come through. So it's great to see when you put the pressure on and call out in action that things really actually get done. So, working hard to get results for you every single day. So thanks a lot for tuning in today. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know it was a very challenging time, but I do hope that you got to connect with your loved ones, at least in some way. And stay tuned for next week. I have been called back to Ottawa, and we'll have some exciting updates for you in next week's weekly roundup. Take care.